This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
Welcome back to the show. We are now joined by Robin Shapiro. Ecstatic that she's here as an author, as an amazing woman who does so much with EMDR and treating psychotherapists. So she's here to talk more about trauma therapy, how she's helping so many with EMDR. And of course, we're going to get to know her story, her journey, and find out all the amazing work she's doing and how she can potentially help you or someone you know. Hey, Robin, how are you?
I'm doing really well. It is a very warm day for Seattle, which
Uh,
is great. We finally have summer.
well, we're ecstatic you're here as a psychotherapist and your expertise. Excited to get to know you. New York's a little warm, but not as hot as Seattle right now, I'm assuming. But thank you for being here. Would you mind just giving us a little overview as to what you do with EMDR Solutions? I know it's a broad question, but an overview, and then we'll kind of dive back into your background, how you got here, and continue to talk about the work that you've done and continue to do.
What I am doing now is about 80% clinical consultations and trainings for other therapists.
Yeah.
I still work with some clients, and um, I often am working with people who are highly dissociative, who had lots of early trauma, and who have parts sometimes lose track of right here and now. Um, and I'm mostly helping other therapists learn to work with these kinds of people.
Got it. Well, thank you so much for sharing this. And we're going to find out, some people might not even know what EMDR is. And we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about your love of psychology and, a little bit of your background. How did you even start? Where did you grow up and what brought you into this field?
Well, I grew up in Iowa, and at the age of 20, I escaped Iowa and an abusive boyfriend and came out to Seattle. Graduated twice from the University of Washington, the second time with a social work degree, learned therapy. My first job was running a day treatment program for gay and other sexual minority clients and having
Mm-hmm.
a small private practice. And when Reagan took all the money out of mental health, I was in full-time private practice since my late 20s and have been ever since. Um, and I learned EMDR about almost 32 years ago from Francine Shapiro, the woman who invented it,
Mm-hmm.
or basically she discovered it
Ooh,
and then figured out a protocol and started teaching it. And I learned probably about the third year that she was teaching, I took the class, and it changed everything.
wow.
I was kind of distressed because I lost half my practice in about 3 months.
Ah,
Clients I had been working with
ah.
for years to help them be used to being traumatized and function anyway. We made the trauma go away, and I thought, oh no, I'm going to starve. And then they sent me all their friends.
Mm,
And I have been full ever since. I started going to a lot of conferences on EMDR that the EMDR International Association um, EMDRIA ran, and I heard some amazing things, and I wanted everybody who did EMDR to know it. So I asked people would they write chapters for me. And then
mm-hmm.
I wrote some chapters on some things that I was doing, like working with sexual minority clients and people of color on their distresses, working with anxiety disorders, stuff like that. And people wrote about things that they were into, eating disorders, um, all kinds of stuff. So, two books, both called EMDR Solutions 1 and 2. with all kinds of chapters on how to work with specific populations.
Okay.
Made sure that they were in clear English
Mm-hmm.
and very practical because that's what I like to read. So these some people were way up here and I got them to come down and say, when you're dealing with this, do that. When you're dealing with that, do this, and um, so that people could read the chapter and then go into work the next day and use it. And then since then, I wrote books on
Wow.
all the trauma therapies, trauma treatment interventions. I wrote a book on ego state work, easy ego state interventions, and then one for beginning therapists. So if anybody listening to this is a beginner or thinking of becoming a therapist,
Mm-hmm.
I wrote one called Doing Psychotherapy that has what a session looks like, what
Okay.
therapy looks like from beginning to end,
Mm-hmm.
you know, how to work with trauma, how to work with dissociation, how to work with anxiety, and what trainings I think people have to have. And one of the things, right now I'm running 20 monthly consult groups of 4 people. They're EMDR oriented and doing a lot of individual consultations and still seeing a few clients. And the thing that I hammer home to everybody is that every client is different.
Yep.
You need to know a lot of therapies so that you can do what fits for this person. You do not have a hammer and everybody is not a nail. You need a lot of tools and you need to find the tools that are going to work for this person in front of you.
Mm. Well, this is fascinating work. There's so much that you have to offer. And I just also just want to back up 1 second, Robin. As a clinical consultant, writer, trainer, psychotherapist, you do a lot. And just curious, are you able to work with people all over, or is it, local to your state? Can people, that are listening today out of state work with you as well?
I am not taking new clients ever now.
Okay.
I only take clients I've worked with before, except maybe if they are the new thing I'm doing, if they are, if they have multiple chemical sensitivities,
Okay.
tinnitus, I might work with them or I might send my protocols to whatever therapist they have, you
Beautiful.
know. So, because I came up with a bunch of protocols like that. I do work
Terrific.
with consultees. Yesterday I did several consultations. One was with a woman in Australia, one was with a woman in Toronto, um, one was with a woman in Colorado, a therapist in Colorado. So I do consultations and I have groups with people from 3 different countries.
Beautiful. Wow.
You know.
Well, what else? I mean, there's so much to you and the work that you have to offer. What did you want to go through for today? Being it is our first show, I want to make sure we're covering everything the way you wanted in a certain order.
Well, you had asked me, you had said you wanted to know what EMDR was.
Yeah, for some people out there, they might not even know. Would you mind just giving us a little breakdown? Thank you.
EMDR is what used to be a really weird therapy that makes trauma go away.
Hmm.
This woman, another Shapiro, but no relation to me, um, named Francine Shapiro,
Okay.
she discovered that if while somebody was thinking about something distressing, and she noticed that a client started moving their eyes back and forth while they were thinking about something distressing, the distress went away. They still remembered that it happened, but it stopped being PTSD. So she came up with a way
Mm-hmm.
to have people focus on the thoughts that went with that. I'm not safe, even though it was 20 years ago the bad thing happened. The feeling where they had it in the body, yeah, and how bad it was. And then what she did was eye movements back and forth. And after several rounds of that, would
Mm-hmm.
often go away.
Wow.
Now, and then she taught it to a bunch of people, and then a bunch of people figured out what to do with it. And that's where my books, and there's probably 50 trainings about using it with different kinds of things out there. And I, it's amazing. And in the last couple years, people came up with two ways to work with what we call the standard protocol
Mm-hmm.
that really ups its efficiency. One of them is EMDR 2.0 that this guy in Amsterdam came up with, Ad de Young. And instead of just doing eye movements or just sounds or just tapping, you do all of that at once and maybe, well, they're thinking about the bad thing and maybe they're up and moving their legs around and then asking them to spell words backwards. And what he found when you put all this pressure on the memory networks, doing six things at once, the stuff moved like five times faster. Vroom, gone. And if you're working with highly dissociative people,
Mm-hmm.
too busy to dissociate.
Yeah.
You can do the work and it goes away. And then this lovely guy named Thomas Zimmerman came up with four blinks.
Okay.
Okay, you think about whatever the bad thing, and this is especially good for people who are avoidant. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to talk about it. Okay, put that bad event, that bad thing in a box and seal it and push that box over here. Now, I want you to think of the best thing that ever happened to you,
Mm.
your favorite thing on earth, or where you feel safest, or whatever. Mine is lying in bed at night with my husband's arms around me. You know,
Ah.
I've had 33 years of that, and it's
Ah.
lovely. And if he's not snoring too loudly,
Of
you
course, right?
know. Yeah. But, you know, you think about that, you feel it, and then you blink, count to, the therapist is counting to five in their head, and blink, and blink, and blink. And then you think of that really great thing again. Or
Oh,
maybe you're
wow.
playing somebody's favorite music or putting on their favorite video that they can watch over and over, you know. And then they do go through the four blinks and you do several rounds of that. Now, can you pick up the corner of that box and look in? God, there's nothing in there anymore. There's a lot less in there. Let's think.
Ah.
Or if there's nothing in there, you know, take the lid off. It's over. And people can go online to Thomas Zimmerman's thing, and even if you don't do EMDR, you can learn four blinks. And
Yeah.
it either costs $15 for this 3-hour class, or it's free. He's giving it away. He gave it away. He did a training with like 200 therapists who were Israeli and Palestinian at once so that they could work with their populations. He did that
Mm.
near the beginning of that war over there. I mean, he's a lovely guy. So that's the new stuff that's coming out of the EMDR world.
Wow. Wow. This is amazing. I mean, with all your accomplishments, all you've done and you continue to do, you're also a speaker, lecturer. I mean, again, we talked a little bit about you as an author, but there's so much that you've written that you're here to share. Wow.
Yeah, and the ego state work. I got my first DID client, that's dissociative identity disorder, used to be called multiple personality, um, when I was in my late 20s. And immediately went and got consultation because I had no clue what to do with this person who this like 38-year-old person who I asked a question about her childhood, and she said,
Uh,
"Who are you?
oh,
Where is this?" And she didn't know who I was. And when I finally got her
oh,
adult back about 20 minutes later, she didn't notice. She didn't remember that 20 minutes
oh,
being in that kid place. And I thought, oh shit, DID, what do I do? I got
yeah,
every training. I got clinical consultation for 30 years from um, David Kaloff, who was the Seattle expert in this stuff.
amazing.
And I now I have do a whole 2-day training about working with different kinds of dissociation and using some of these things with just even with PTSD, with one bad thing that happened. We can send the right now safe person back there to that time and get the person who was in the middle of that car wreck out of there, bring them up
Oh,
6 times and finally know
wow.
it's over, I'm not there, and the PTSD goes away. And if it's a lot of childhood abuse, going back and getting
Yeah.
kids. So I wrote a book about that, and I do my biggest 2-day training is about that. And then I do a lot of training about EMDR stuff. And one day training that I'm actually doing all day on Saturday, working with survivors of childhood sexual abuse.
Oh my gosh.
So I have worked, we all therapists have worked with so many of that. It's 1 out of 5 girls and about 1 out of 8 boys in this country were sexually abused by somebody.
Ah,
And it is so much of the traumatized and dissociated people we work with. It messes people up badly. And so much of the therapy we do deals with that.
wow.
And I want to get that completely clear. And I want these people to get into good sex lives. And this is something that therapists don't talk about enough.
Yeah.
So part of my training that once you clear out the trauma, this person is going to be able to like maybe be with their husband and not completely just dissociate, go away, but to be there, connect, say no, and I want, which everybody should be able to do with their partner and have a good time.
Mm,
So that's one of the things that I bring into it that often isn't spoken about in therapy.
amazing. Wow. There's still so much to talk about. If you are just tuning in, I would like to remind you we are here with our friend, our psychotherapist from Seattle, Washington, Robin Shapiro. Uh, Excited to have her here talking about all the amazing work she does to help so many out there and has been with EMDR and so many other therapists, and of course, with her training and her books. I mean, there's so much to talk about. And unfortunately, we only have like 8 minutes left in the show. So, what else did you want to make sure we talk about? I would just personally like to know a little more about EMDR, about some of the things it can help with. Like I was reading earlier on the website, it could help people with even like eating disorders. I know we
Oh,
mentioned
absolutely.
PTSD.
In
What
this
other?
book,
Ah,
there are about 7 chapters
okay,
on working with eating disorders.
okay,
Um, Let me just kind of go through
sure.
that. Bringing in your sense of strength and goodness and tapping that in, feeling that. Uh, Working with pain,
Mm-hmm.
including phantom limb pain, working with tinnitus, ringing in the ears, yeah, working with addictions. There's this wonderful protocol called Deter by AJ Popke, where you go after, you ask the client, what is your trigger to drink? Oh, coming
Mm-hmm.
home from work and being all alone. How good would it feel to drink right then? Like, oh, 0 to 10? Oh, a 10. Where do you feel that good feeling in you? And you do EMDR on the good feeling. and bring it down with that. Now, what would you like to do instead of that when you come home and feel lonely? How about calling a friend? How
Mm.
about doing this or that or the other? So you do this with all kinds of things. I've worked with sex addicts. I've worked with guys who were hurting themselves. They were
Yeah.
jerking off so much. I've worked with all kinds of addictions. Um, falling in love with the wrong person over and over.
Mm-hmm.
Um, working with couples, anxiety disorders. I'm just kind of looking at chapters in these books that I have. Shame,
Mm-hmm.
wonderful protocol.
Wow.
Uh, Working with attachment-based depression and all kinds of levels of depression. Um, working, bringing up positive performance stuff, going in there and winning that. Um, and going working with sex offenders to get
Mm-hmm.
them to not want to do that anymore. And I have all these books mixing it with other therapies, somatic therapies, ego state therapies. You can mix it up with whatever else you're doing and make things work.
Wow. Well, I love the knowledge that you've been providing, and so many people out there can benefit from this. And if you don't mind me asking, the creator of EMDR, was that Melissa Peer, or am I thinking something else?
Oh, no, no, that was Francine Shapiro.
Oh, okay, okay. Who was Melissa Peer? Was she involved with EMDR?
I have no idea who that is.
Okay, must have been something else. I'm so sorry, but I know I thought a woman named Melissa Peer was one of the founders too. I guess not.
Nope, nope,
But
nope. It's all Shapiro. The
what do
others.
you and what do you love most about the work you're doing?
Well, I'm almost 70. I'm not going to be able to work forever, though. I'm going to work as long as my brain and my body let me because I love it. And this world is so messed up. And right now, our country is so messed up. Every day I read the news, I cry often, you know. But what I am doing now is helping people and then helping people help other people. And it's what I can do in this world to make things better. I haven't raised my rates for consultation in like 10
Mm.
years because, I'm doing okay. And I want to be able to
Yeah,
help as many people as possible because I can't
yeah,
feed the almost billion people who are way
I
too
know.
hungry. I can't stop the abuse. I can't stop the political things all over the world, all the oligarchs or wannabe oligarchs, but I can do this.
Got it. All
And
right.
that's what feels good.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here, for joining us, and it's an honor to have you. If someone does want to reach out, would you mind sharing how we can contact you?
Yes, and I'm not taking clients, all right, but I am doing consultation. My
Mm-hmm.
email is emdrsolutions with an S on the end at gmail.com. And if you want to see trainings and like that I'm doing, www.emdrsolutions.com.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Pleasure getting to know you today and looking forward to the next time we get to connect.
Okay, well, thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me.
It's been an honor. Thank you again, Robin. We'll hopefully talk soon.
Okay.
Bye bye, sweetheart. Bye.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.